world. But, slow down, take your time, have fun. And gosh, use a group like the influencer group on Facebook as a sounding board. I mean, you get a bunch of different perspectives of people who have done it and are already there, and they can say, "Hey, you know what, dummy, knock it off." Uh, and I think that brings us to the one thing that I really wanted to talk to you about, Vernon, which was my story coming into influencers. And I had been an affiliate member for a long time, over a year, and I had applied a couple of times and been denied, and I tried to find out, well, what is the criteria, what are you looking for? I don't know that there is actual criteria. I think it's some guy sitting in a in his underwear in a basement working from home, who says, okay, I'll let you in. Okay, I'll let you in. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
it seemed pretty arbitrary. But I kept, every now and then I would go back and I would try again, and finally I got in. And then I'm like, okay, well, I've been on YouTube since YouTube started. I've got this video thing. I
Yeah.
got this sewn up. And I read through their guidelines, and I read every document I could get from them. And I, of course, this is the male perspective coming through, right? I read what I wanted to read. I
Right.
saw the words that resonated with me, and it said, hey, we've got no problem with cross content or cross platform content. If you've got content here, you can use it here, no big deal. And I read that as, well, I've got all of this YouTube content on this stupid product. I'm gonna port that right over. Well, as I told Vernon yesterday, um, that imagine an aircraft getting ready to take off to go into battle, and just about the time he yells contact and that prop starts to spin, the machine guns are already on him, and that plane is getting eviscerated right on the ground.
Yeah.
It That first attempt to get on influencer was so bad. Yeah, honestly, it was content. I was like, man, this is some of my most successful content on YouTube.
Yeah.
How can this possibly fail? It was epic. It was epic. There was smoke, flames, everything. It was awful. So I'm like, okay, well, that obviously doesn't work. Um, so then I tried reading what they wrote, and I akin this to bad behavioral training for animals. If you see somebody who really doesn't understand how to use positive reinforcement for training, and it applies to dogs as well as it does to humans, um, you know, you give all correction and no real feedback. That
Yep.
is a lesson for creating PTSD in your subject, and that's kind of how the influencer review process goes. You get hit with this big stick, and it says community guidelines, whack, bad dog. What did I do wrong?
You didn't
Community
adhere to the
guidelines
guidelines.
says
Yeah.
so on the stick. Community guidelines, whack.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not really learning anything here. And that's, that was the point, because that was now my second failure. I had gone through and tried to use the words that they wrote to correct whatever mistakes I was making. But the amount of thought that I put into those very vague words didn't get me anywhere. So second attempt was now gone.
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh man, do I suck this bad? I mean, what does Amazon expect from an
Yeah.
influencer, right? And that's what's going through my head. And then I got on the bleep bloop box, the old computer, and I started Googling around, and I found Lauren. I found a video from her. I found some other ones too, and I attempted to engage with them. But Lauren she was on it. I mean, she was like, oh, here, stop.
Yeah.
Relax, take a nice cleansing breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, push everything out of your head, come over to Facebook and hang out with us, and we will see if we can figure out what's going on. And that's where I met the amazing Vernon Brown.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and Vernon Brown said, "Hey, you know what? Throw up a piece here and let me see what they're talking about." And Vernon looked at it and he's like, "Dude, you've got so much going on in that shot." And honestly, this shot is something that built my YouTube channel. My set is a crazy, chaotic, messy
Masterpiece.
shot. It's got lathes and welding equipment, and it's a playground for old guys, and that's what I do, and that's where I play. So Vernon says, "You've got way too much stuff going on there. I was distracted just trying to watch your video. You've got to clean that up." And I'm no stranger to digitized backgrounds. Look, there's one here. If you saw what my office looked like, you'd understand why I use backdrops. But I got to thinking, how can I make this better? And I did have an old, really cheap, inexpensive, whatever word you want to use, frame and backdrops from Amazon. And they're really challenging to use because the fabric is very, very thin. And if you have any lights behind them, the lights come right through the backdrop. So I have to put all three pieces of fabric up with the color I want on the front just to get it to be opaque. So I set up this green screen and I reshot my 3 product videos. And by this time, I had actually gotten pretty comfortable with what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it, because I've done, a dozen takes already. And then when I did those 3 videos, I had a very, very simple, plain background. I had me and the product. And what I was learning, through this whole process was the magic recipe for those 3 first videos is they've got to be simple.
Yes.
They've got to be clean.
Yes.
They've got to be simple. Why do I say simple twice? Because it freaking matters. You want you and the product in the video. I'm not saying you have to be as antiseptic as this background is, where it's just me in the frame. But Vernon has a killer setup there. It is clean and orderly, and it's not chaos like my shop. And I totally get his idea. And it absolutely worked. I submitted those 3 videos, and I went through the torture of waiting. And and understand that the day you submit doesn't count. So the clock doesn't start running until the next day, and Amazon takes their weekends very seriously. So if it's not an automated approval, which I think a certain percentage of the of that initial check is totally automatic. There's an AI that's running and saying, yeah, I think this is probably 98% okay. But the actual human intervention, no, it's going to be business days, and that time they give you is the minimum time, not the average.
Not the maximum. Right.
Right. So plug it in and relax. But do remember that the important lesson here that I wanted to bring and give back to this group that got me over this hurdle is, make the shot simple, clean, and simple. And clean means visually clean,
Yes.
good, decent quality video. And this is something that Marcus Pix taught me. Marcus Pix is a famous photographer, videographer out of the LA area. He has a YouTube channel. he is a remarkable artist with light and sound. And he's like, most people don't talk about this, but the real key to good video is good sound.
Mm-hmm.